This man, named Mark Anderson, witnessed a strange event while diving in the deep sea that he could never have imagined. Anderson has almost 10 years of experience in diving in the deep sea. He has captured images of countless small and large sea creatures with his camera. But he had no idea that on September 9th, he was going to face a terrible event that would change his life forever. Mark Anderson set off to dive in the sea 200 miles away from the coast of British Columbia as usual. That day, the sea water was very clear and calm. However, the water was very cold. About 12 degrees Celsius. Mark slowly started going deeper into the sea. He started capturing seaweed and small fish with his camera. Then his eyes suddenly fell on a small group of sea cucumbers. Mark decided to take some close-up pictures of them. But then he felt a strange wave in the water. He noticed an invisible movement under the water. He could feel that some large animal was swimming around him. Mark thought it might be a seal or a small orca. These were common animals for divers. But when he moved forward, he froze in fear for a few seconds in the cold water. A baby humpback whale, about 4 meters long, was swimming a few meters away from Mark. Mark noticed that the movement of this animal was very strange. Usually, these huge monsters do not behave like this. But that day, this huge baby humpback started to move and looked at him with a bewitching look to attract the driver's attention. Mark thought it was normal and moved forward without paying any attention to the baby. But the baby started following Mark. It started to circle around him. Mark took a deep breath. He grabbed his camera and started to film this strange behavior of the baby humpback whale. But he did not feel calm when he saw the animal. Then, suddenly, the baby started swimming very close to him. And it seemed to want to touch Mark with its huge fins. It kept doing this kind of strange behavior over and over again. And seeing the baby's behavior, Mark suddenly realized that the baby was trying to tell him something. Because in his 10 years of diving experience, he had never seen such strange behavior of animals. After circling around Mark about 7 to 8 times, the baby suddenly changed its direction deliberately and stopped 20 meters away. Then it turned and looked at Mark, as if checking if Mark was coming towards it. Mark noticed that the baby's small eyes were full of emotion, as if it wanted to beckon him and show him something. Mark knew very well that chasing these terrible monsters of the sea could be very dangerous. But seeing such strange behavior of the baby humpback increased his curiosity. And he knew that his life was in danger, but he started following him. They moved north and came far away from the coast. Every time they get 30 to 40 meters away, the baby stands up so that Mark can follow him properly. Then they slowly start going deeper. And the bottom starts to get black. The deeper you go into the sea, the more dim the sunlight becomes. And the darker it gets. After going down about a few meters, they reach a small valley at the bottom of the sea, and here Mark sees something that makes his body freeze with fear. An adult humpback whale, about 14 meters long, is floating motionless in the water. Its body is covered with some strange stuff. From a distance, it looks like it has been coated with something gray. When Mark gets very close to the humpback whale, he immediately realizes that they are barnacles. Actually, these barnacles, which look like garlic, are a type of marine organism that collects food by attaching themselves to the body of a whale. In addition, the whale's large body protects it from other predators. However, barnacles are usually found on the body of a whale. But the barnacle colonies that had settled on this whale's body were no small group. They had fallen into a layer several centimeters thick. They covered its entire body, except for its eyes. Mark noticed that the baby was circling around this huge humpback as if it were adoring him. Mark could not understand anymore. This whale was his mother, and she seemed very happy to bring Mark to his mother. Mark gathered some courage and moved closer to the humpback. And he saw that the parasitic barnacles were stuck in its body in such a way that it had completely weakened it. He was only able to move his fin. Just as in humans, a child calls a doctor for a sick mother, it seemed that this baby humpback had called a doctor named Mark for its mother. Seeing this child's faith in humans, Mark became emotional, and at any cost, this dead animal had to be saved, and the child had to be returned to its beloved mother. The group of barnacles had wounded the animal's body. There were so many of them that it was impossible for Mark to remove them alone. Even so, Mark had to save the baby's mother at any cost. With this thought in mind, he took out a knife from his belt and slowly began to remove the barnacles. But they were so tightly attached to his body that it was a lot of work to remove them. There was no way for Mark to completely remove them alone. Even then, he managed to remove some barnacles the size of a dining table. Meanwhile, his oxygen cylinder was almost running out. He had to take oxygen quickly. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive on his own. So he quickly climbed up and, after returning to the boat, contacted the Coastal Marine Rescue Team and explained the whole incident to them. They also started asking various questions, like how serious the condition of the animal was, how deep the animal was, etc. Mark explained everything to them in detail and also told them that he had a small child with him. After knowing all the information, the Marine Rescue Team asked him to wait for about an hour. In the meantime, Mark took oxygen and dove into the water again to check if they were there. And when Mark came down, he was completely shocked. The child and mother were on top of that small valley. They probably realized that Mark would definitely bring help for them. In the meantime, the rescue team arrived there. There were 6 crew members on the boat. 3 of them were rescue specialists, 1 a behaviorist, and 2 doctors. Under Mark's guidance, they quickly went into the depths of the sea with 2 other drivers. The tools they were using to remove the barnacles were much more advanced and effective than Mark's knife. With this, the barnacles were being removed very delicately without damaging the animal's skin or causing any injury. However, this took them a long time to do. So they were changing their oxygen tank every hour. When the barnacles were completely removed, the doctors then examined the animal in various ways. They found that there were some strange things inside its stomach. They decided to perform emergency surgery on the animal as soon as possible. The whale was brought to a marine rehabilitation center with the help of a tugboat for surgery. It was a very risky operation for them because the whale was very weak, so weak that it might die. When the whale was being brought to shore on an inflatable raft and a tugboat, its calf also followed its mother from a distance of 1 meter. When the doctors at the rehabilitation center started the operation on the whale, they removed something from the whale's stomach that shocked everyone there: a large industrial fishing net filled with toxic chemicals. When they tested this fishing net in the lab, they found that this net was made of a dangerous chemical called tributyl tin. When the whale swallows this net, this chemical starts dissolving in its stomach acid. And then it spreads through its blood and spreads throughout its body and slowly destroys all its organs, which is called slow poison. Imagine how horrible it can be for innocent animals to die because of your abandoned things. Even after putting a ban on the net made with this chemical in 2000, some people are still fishing with it. In the meantime, its liver has become much larger than normal. Inflammation has appeared in the tissues. Also, its kidney condition was very bad. On top of that, its immune system was also very low. Plus, the barnacle group had turned its body into an infection. But even then, the fact that it is still alive in this difficult situation was what surprised the doctors the most. Maybe it was fighting to survive for its baby. Although the baby was very intelligent and brave, that's why it came to ask for help from people without caring about its life. Because there are many people who would have killed them, thinking they were dangerous monsters. After treating Whale adequately, the doctors kept him in a recovery pool for the next 3 weeks. And here Mark would come to see him every day. Gradually, the level of reaction started to decrease. His blood circulation started to normalize. His immunity started to increase. And at one point, this helpless whale completely recovered. Then he was taken to the sea and released. Think about it, friends. If the baby had not come to Mark for help, we would never have known that his mother was in so much danger. In the end, thanks to Mark's bravery, his mother regained her life.